Hello, this is Dr. Briscoe here. I'm a teacher at Suncoast Community High School in Riviera Beach, Florida. We're on topic 2.3, congressional behavior, and this is video 2 for this topic. We'll be looking at redistricting and gerrymandering and unequal representation and how some of those concerns were addressed in the Baker v. Carr Supreme Court ruling in 1962. So here is our lesson overview. We saw this with the first video, and we, in terms of content, are explaining how gerrymandering, redistricting, and unequal representation of constituency has been partially addressed in that Baker v. Carr court ruling, and then the no racial gerrymandering decision in Shaw v. Reno. All right, so we've got our two task verbs here, describe and explain, and what will we learn? What is redistricting? How is it related to gerrymandering and unequal representation of constituencies, and partially addressed in Baker v. Carr? What is the one person, one vote doctrine? What was the impact of no racial gerrymandering decision in Shaw v. Reno? So when we talk about redistricting, we know that that is the redrawing of the lines based on the census and any changes in terms of people moving, shifts in population, and the potential for there to be more or fewer districts in a state. Traditionally, you're looking at compactness, contiguity, that is, they're connected together, not, apart. They should be preserving community interest and not trying to have incumbents where they are just going to be there forever. Evolving standards, and we're kind of not quite there yet, but it would be not favoring an incumbent candidate or party, not using data to try to figure out, how people are going to vote so that you can draw lines that, maybe keep people represented in a certain way for, a long period of time, 10 years, more competitiveness and more proportionality. When we talk about redistricting, we've got the census first, we've got the Congress that's reallocating the seats, and then the state legislatures that do the actual redrawing or redistricting the boundaries of each congressional district. When we look at it in gerrymandering, we've got the first two things the same, but then we have the state legislatures doing that redrawing based on data of where people live and guesses on how they're going to vote, and pretty good guesses, and that data is going to be used to create districts that are going to advantage one party. Got this up here again about representation and what people's expectations should be from their representatives in Congress. What are the results of gerrymandering? We end up with oddly shaped districts, safe seats that are non-competitive, the creation of majority-minority districts, although that is ended with Shaw v. Reno, and we'll talk about that in the next video. Political gerrymandering that effectively disenfranchises millions of Americans, and that began with the ruling in the Shelby v. Holder case in 2013. We end up with a Congress that is more ideological, and they can actually ignore some of their constituents. They don't have to worry about them voting them out of office, and the seat is essentially non-competitive for about 10 years at a minimum. Gerrymandering and racial gerrymandering, and when is one the other? We know that with racial gerrymandering, it has been determined to be unconstitutional. That is trying to attempt to concentrate racial minorities to create majority-minority districts. On the other hand, partisan gerrymandering is constitutional. It's been going on since the beginning of the country, where people would try to draw lines, members, and get their state legislatures to draw lines to favor individuals more at that time and now for the party. And we probably should understand that partisan gerrymandering can be racial gerrymandering at the same time. Okay, we've got the state of Alabama here on the left, the black population in 2010. You see the red there where it's the most concentration of African Americans, and then over on the right, the results of the redrawing of districts based on the 2016 election. And you can kind of see there where we've got a district that is primarily Democratic and is probably representing a large majority of African Americans. And then part of it, though, we would say is split, where it is representing this Republican district, but still having large numbers of African Americans in it. I'm going to let you read this about the Voting Rights Act of 65 and this pre-clearance provision. We'll talk about it in the next video. Just important to understand relative to where we are right now in terms of the Voting Rights Act. So just take a look at this when you have some time. How can federal, state, and local policy affect the vote? We just have this kind of outlined here. In terms of registered voter population, things that can be done there, altering the voter turnout, making it more difficult, and then also altering the vote share having to do with a particular party. And so we can see that the government can do things to promote or prevent people from being able to make the choices that they want. So remember, you can always pause the video. On the Baker v. Carr case here, we have it outlined, and so we end up with a case where the court rules to say that the district that was drawn under Baker v. Carr was not constitutional. It did not protect the rights of people who lived in the rural areas because they had not been redistricted in 60 years. They hadn't done redistricting, so that was the problem. Here I've given you Shaw v. Reno, but we'll talk about it more in the next video, and this is where minority-majority districts became unconstitutional, the creation of those for the purpose of enhancing minority voting. Let's practice with some multiple choice questions. Which of the following cases accurately summarizes the reasoning for the decision in Baker v. Carr? That's going to be A, rural districts had fewer people, and then so the representation was not evenly distributed. Which of the following best describes gerrymandering? That is the party in control drawing the boundaries so that its candidates, its party is going to win. And then which of the following statements about gerrymandering is true? It can be used by a political party to draw those lines so that they can control as many districts as possible. So what should we take away? Able to answer the questions. What is redistricting? How is it related to gerrymandering and unequal representation? And what happened with the Baker v. Carr case in terms of addressing those concerns? And then the one person, one vote doctrine that came out of got initiated with Baker v. Carr, but really was put into place later with Westbury v. Sanders. And then the impact of no racial gerrymandering decision. We see more districts being created that may really not be fair in terms of the inability to create majority-minority districts. All right, back where we started, and we are going to be looking at the SCOTUS application skill next time. All right, thank you.